Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to another God of War Ragnarok video. Now for today's video, I have another much requested build guide video. A lot of you guys have really loved my previous build guides, and since those videos, I've been getting a lot of requests from the community to make a build guide based around the Spartan Rage. So I spent the past couple days experimenting with all the different pieces of gear to see what the best all-around Spartan Rage build is, and I have some good news and I have some bad news. Now the good news is that I was able to come up with a pretty decent Spartan Rage build, and what this build does is basically gives you an endless loop of constantly using your Spartan Rage. But the bad news is that it's not going to work against boss fights, which isn't the end of the world because 90% of the time in this game you're not fighting bosses, you're fighting the smaller creatures, but unfortunately there's just not a build out there that gives you unlimited Spartan Rage against boss fights. So this build is only going to work against a lot of the smaller creatures. So let's go ahead and jump right into the build. So with the chest armor, we're going with the Soul's Spaulders of Courage. And what it does is Kratos' melee damage increases based on his rage. Incoming damage that would be lethal is absorbed by available rage. So this is a really good chest piece, and it's going to be one of the key elements to this build. Because when we're not using our rage, the higher our rage is, the more damage we're going to be doing. And if for some reason you get low enough on health, your life will be spared by any rage that you have saved up in your rage meter. But this build is so good that you're probably not going to be dying very often, so that part of the perk isn't really that necessary, but it's just kind of an added bonus. Now you get this armor pretty early in the game. Most of you guys probably already have it, or you at least have the option to get it. Once you reach a certain point in the story, you can craft it at any of the blacksmiths, so you don't have to go out looking for it. You can just craft this armor piece, so that's a plus. And then for the wrist armor and the waist armor, I'm going with the Fate Breaker wraps and the Fate Breaker belt. Now unfortunately you don't get these two armor pieces until you get pretty far, basically completing the entire story. So you're not going to get these two pieces of gear until pretty late in the game, but what they do is it increases the rate at which rage is gained, and when you have both of these equipped at the same time, it increases your gain increase by 20%. So we're going to fill our rage meter 20% faster. But if you don't have those two pieces because you haven't beaten the game yet, you can just craft the Soul's Wraps of Courage and the Soul's Belt of Courage. So you could just wear the entire Soul's outfit, and what it does is it gives you a chance to grant Rage Burst when damage is taken. The luck chance increases the lower Kratos' health. So when you take damage, there's a small chance you can get up to 24 points of your rage meter filled. So those are a good alternative to have if you haven't beaten the game yet. But for this build, we're going to go ahead and use the Fate Breaker gear. Now for the amulet, we're going with a couple different things. We're going with this set because what it does is with the set bonus, it increases Kratos' maximum rage based on his vitality. So the higher our vitality is, the more maximum rage meter we can have. So I have currently 276 points put into vitality. And then down here, we're going with these three. And the set bonus is increases stun damage inflicted based on Kratos' defense, which this is really important to the build. We're going to be doing a lot of stun damage. And then this here, I just added this one as an extra piece to give me higher vitality because it gives me 20. So this enchantment doesn't do anything but literally give me 20 points in vitality. That's all it's there for. Then we have this one, Stone Idols of Souls. This one's really important because using Health Stone or Rage Stones grants Soul Steal, during which a small amount of health and rage is restored when striking enemies. So anytime we pick up a stone off the ground, we're going to get this siphon ability where we can siphon more rage and fill up our rage meter even faster. And then down here, this final perk, I only have it to give me 20 defense, and that's literally all it's there for. And the reason I'm using this to give me 20 more points into defense is because up here with the set bonus, the higher my defense, the more stun damage I'm going to do. And then going into the weapons, the attachment that I have for the axe is the Grip of Healing Harmony. Now, honestly, I don't care about the perk at all for this build. I'm not even going to use the axe almost at all for this build. But what it does is when the Permafrost skill gauge is fully charged, axe hits restore health, but incoming damage is increased. So this doesn't matter. The only reason I have this equipped is because it gives me 34 defense and 29 strength. And then for the Blades of Chaos, it's pretty much the same. I don't care about this ability at all. The only reason I have this equipped is because it gives me 34 vitality and 29 strength. And then for the spear, the attachment that I have for the spear is probably the most crucial thing to this entire build. and what it does is stun grabbing an enemy with R3 grants a rage burst. So what we're going to be doing in this build is constantly damaging enemies as much as possible, filling up their stun meter, and then switching to the spear, and then executing them and giving us a rage burst. So this attachment is really important for this build, but unfortunately I don't remember where I got it. I just played a lot of the game and I eventually found it. I tried to look back at my old footage to see where I got it, and I don't have any recording of me getting this piece. So if you guys know where to get this, let me know down in the comments and I'll pin it as the top comment for everybody to see. But like I said, unfortunately, I don't know where I got this piece. And then for the shield, I went with the Stonewall shield because it gives me high defense and high vitality. And then I went with the Rond of Fortification just because it gives me 63 defense. I don't care about this ability whatsoever. And then for the Spartan Rage, we're going with Wrath because Fury and Valor just don't work with this build. We have to go with Wrath. And then for the Relic, I went with the Hilt of Graham. It grants a burst of rage and applies stun to nearby enemies. So the only reason I'm going with this Relic is because it gives me a small burst of rage. And then for the mod slots on all the skills, none of them really matter except for the spear because the spear is going to be the main purpose of this build. And what you're going to want to do is go ahead and put stun on all of your abilities that you have unlocked. So any of these abilities that you have fully maxed out, any of them that give you the opportunity to switch to stun, make sure you put them all on stun damage because the main point of this build is going to be doing a lot of stun. Alright, so those are all the different armor pieces that I have equipped for this build. Now let's get into what you're actually going to be doing. Now the whole point of this build is based around that attachment for the spear, the one where stun grabbing an enemy grants a rage burst. So what we're going to be doing is constantly just doing as much damage as possible to fill up that stun meter and executing enemies. And then as we execute enemies, we're going to get a rage burst. So the whole purpose of this build is pulling off an endless loop of filling up our rage meter, activating our rage, and then every time we activate a rage burst, it's going to fill up our Maelstrom meter for our spear. And then once that Maelstrom meter is full, you activate it, and then you're going to be doing a ton of extra stun damage. And then once you inflict enough stun damage, you just go around executing all the enemies, and then that will pretty much fill up your rage meter back up to any amount that you lost. So we essentially create this loop of using rage, switching to our spear, doing enough stun damage to execute them, and then those executions are going to keep feeding our rage meter. And then that will also stack with any stones we find on the ground. Any damage we do is also going to fill up our rage meter. And then what I found to be one of the best ways to fill up an enemy stun meter is actually unequipping your weapon by hitting down on the D-pad. You can put away your weapon and pull out your fists and just melee bash with your shield and your fists. And this is the best way to fill up your enemy stun meter. So the best way to do this is to put away your spear, beat the crap out of them with your fists, and then before you execute them, make sure you pull out your spear to proc that one ability. You have to have your spear equipped to do this. So bash them with your hands and shield, pull out your spear, execute them, get a rage burst, and then activate your rage, get a free kill, and then that will fill up your Maelstrom meter. Activate your Maelstrom meter, do more stun damage, get more stun executions, fill up more of your rage burst, and you kind of just get going in this endless loop. And I was using this out in the world, and it's really strong. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to be showcasing this in the trial. And during the trial, I don't even use hardly any of my runic abilities. So this entire build is based off of doing so much stun damage and having so much rage that you're not even going to need to use your weapon's abilities. The only time I ever use my weapon's abilities is if one of those enemies have a runic shield and you have to do like the opposite type of damage. Otherwise, this build is so good you don't even need to use your weapon's abilities. So if you did, you would be even more powerful. Now remember back to that chest piece that we have equipped. Kratos' melee damage increases based on his rage. So what I like to do is build my rage meter up as high as it will get, and then that significantly increases my melee damage. And then anytime I'm swarmed or I'm stuck in a tricky situation, then I will activate my rage, which is no big deal because with this build you'll get your rage back in no time. But that is going to do it for this Spartan Rage build guide. I'm going to leave you with some gameplay to showcase just how powerful this build is. But that is going to do it for me, everyone. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up and consider hitting the subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. If you guys want to see some of my other build guides, I will leave them linked at the end of this video. And that is going to do it for me, everyone, and I will talk to you all next time.
Good, that's the way! Behind you, brother! Enemy on the left!
Coming back here!
Behind you, brother!
Behind you! Incoming! Behind you! Look out! It's down!
Kill it! You all right?
Too fast! Use your shield! Enemy behind you! The Alpha!
Behind you! Behind you! Poison! Behind you! Watch out!
It's down.
Behind you, brother! Behind you! Keep coming!
Incoming! Back here!
Careful, brother! You're covered in Bifrost! Nicely done!